Good evening. It is Tuesday evening again. It's good seeing all of you all. I mean, we've had a wonderful week and we're looking for to have a wonderful show this afternoon. I do want to like again thank our followers for being so faithful for signing on with us and watching us every week, and we do appreciate that. I do want to say that we have quite a few announcements this week, and we'll be getting started with those. She's signing on right now, so I'd like to wait till she gets on with us before we actually get into tonight's programming. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Good evening, Dr. Miles. I'm well, and yourself?
Hey, great. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out this Facebook Live thing. I think it's as simple as you requesting to be on, and guess what? I'll let you in. So, but
Okay,
let's not try it tonight. I, but at least they can
we'll
hear you
test
well.
it
Uh,
offline.
right. At this point, I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Willie Miles. I am the president of Dr. Willie Miles Children's Foundation, located in Atlanta, Georgia. And our mission is very simple. We make children our priority. I do want to welcome both our Facebook Live group and also our Instagram faithful followers. Jackie.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Hampton Clemens, educator Valley of the Giants, and I'm co-hosting tonight, as always, with Dr. Miles.
Hey, that is great. You know, Jackie, in here in Atlanta, can you believe it was 90 degrees today?
Wow.
I know
Well,
you're in. I know
today
you're in South
we
Florida.
were dealing with just uh, tarantula rain all
Whoa.
day and
Oh, you guys,
flooding.
you're in South Florida. You guys are getting ready for the hurricane season, right?
Hurricane season. Yes, we are.
Amazing, amazing. Okay,
Time for me to head north.
I know. Well, I guess I'm not sure how far north you're going, but I heard you're going to be in the Atlanta area this weekend.
I will be in Atlanta this weekend visiting family and celebrating academic recognition for other family members. So my mom and I are headed to Atlanta.
That's excellent, excellent. You know what I want to do? I want to get some announcements out of the way, Jackie, as usual, and we'll just take this thing as calm as we normally do, because we always say we're going to run out of time, and guess what? We
We
always do.
always do.
All right. So at this point, I want to make you all aware that there is a, well, Jackie, maybe, do you want to talk about the National Month of Giving or the Alumni
Yes.
Association? Which one?
I can talk about either or
Well,
both.
actually, I'll talk about the month of giving, because the alumni is sort of like self-serving. I don't want people to think I'm self-serving. But folks,
Okay.
we need you all to give to us. I mean, it is a month of giving, and our foundation has established June as our national month of giving. Folk, we need your help. We've been doing these pleas for the last couple of weeks, and I'll share with you. Some folk are giving, and the people who are asking the most ain't doing the giving. I mean, so we're going to ask you to please just consider us as your not-for-profit of choice, especially those people who are getting certificates from us. We do those at no charge for you. No one pays us. There's no grant. There is no nothing. So please consider us. I realize times are hard, Jackie, and people are getting back to work. But guess what? I went out the other day. I saw plenty of folk at the mall. I see. I,
Absolutely.
I saw people sitting outside of eateries lined up to get food.
Constant. I mean, I see that a lot as well. And
So
and go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jackie.
I was going to say, and we want to mention that, giving is giving. If you feel like your budget is tight, do $10, do $10 a week. Just, you know, in the religious sense, and not that we're bringing that into this, but, sewing back into that which you take from is
Mhm.
just good practice. It's
Of
also
course.
a good thing to teach your children. And so, and it should make you feel good about attending and knowing that you are contributing to this happening for yourself and for others.
And plus, as many calls as I get and actual help parents on the side, and I'm not saying you should be paying me. I'm simply saying one good deed should warrant another good
Deserves
deed.
another. And this is an
Again,
opportunity. Yes.
Jackie, we don't ask every month. We don't ask people to, like every month, we're talking about fundraising. We're
Right.
saying this is our national month of giving. And we're asking those faithful followers who are with us to please consider giving to the foundation. Because when you give to us, Jackie, we give it right back.
Right. And give it
About
right back.
95% of our
And
monies is
and a
going right
lot
back
of
to the
places,
community.
yeah, a lot of places that you can give to or that you are spending your money are not tax deductions. This is a write-off. I mean, just think about it. If you did $20 a month, you're looking at $240 that you can write off for the year. So we don't want people to think that we're looking for, I mean, we'll certainly accept 1,000, 5,000 and larger donations, but what we're really looking to see is that people are sewing into this and making sure that it's available on an ongoing basis. So whatever your level is, June is the month, and now is a great time to just say, you know what, let me go and Cash App them, or whatever the thing is, let me go and Zelle over some, $10 or $20. It's not going to make a big difference in your budget. Hopefully it won't stop anything, but it will make a big difference for the families and the children that we are serving and supporting.
Some of our faithful followers are spending more than that at Starbucks on a monthly basis.
Well,
They're
some of them
spending
spending more than what we're talking about on a daily basis. I mean, you're getting coffee and a snack,
that,
but
that is true. Look, you can tell I don't go to
yeah, oh,
Starbucks,
yeah,
but we're
yeah.
talking about give up a McDonald's breakfast sandwich. Give up a pizza. Because we're filling you with good knowledge here, and you all have told us that, so we believe that. So we're not going to be pounding, being a dead horse. You give if you want to. If you don't, it's up to you. But at this point, we're asking for your help, and our June is our month. I want to close out June 30th with a whopping figure. I want to make sure that we have money to carry us over to the next year. Jackie, you want to talk about the alumni?
Yes, I do. I'm very excited about the alumni group that has started. It's the Dr. Willie Miles Alumni organization, and it was started by alumni. That's why it's called that. So it was started by a young man who has, or who, had the opportunity to be mentored by Dr. Miles as a child. He has been giving on an ongoing basis, just very quietly, very consistently. And he thought it a good idea to form an organization for other people who have benefited from being mentored or supported by Dr. Miles in the past. And so it is now the Dr. Willie Miles Alumni Association, and they are encouraging all of those who've been touched, be you a parent, a former student who's now out working in the world, to become an ongoing, first of all, to join that group and become an ongoing and contributing member to the Dr. Willie Miles Foundation, just to make sure that there are some other young people who have the same benefits that they had. So it's really a wonderful thing, Dr. Miles, and I'm very excited that that's on board.
I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I just want to talk about this a little bit, because I don't want people to think that I went to the school to read stories to these young people. We're talking about financing college, paying for their shelter or the rooming at a college for 4 years. We're talking about taking the kids to college. We're talking about getting inner city young men and young ladies who thought they could not go to school, could not go to college. And through our insistence, we're saying, we're getting you out of Broward County. You're going to college somewhere. And so we got them off to college. Now these young people are, they're 37, 38. I can't believe it, and 40, but they have great careers. Some are surgeons, some are PhDs, the others are VPs of companies. So again, we call it paying it forward. Paying it forward. And so right now we have 5 young men so far, Jackie, who have agreed they're doing this reoccurring.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
So
That's
check out
great
your
growth.
Instagram every week, y'all, and you'll be seeing these young men, because each week we're featuring 2 or 3 of them, or as many we can get on the flyer. So last week we had 2, and this week we have 2 more. So you'll be seeing those coming out real soon. All right.
Dr. Miles, you mentioned getting them to college, but I recall this starting long before college with some of the young men you were mentoring, and young women, of course. We said men, but the young were mentoring. Many of them started as early as middle school, certainly through high school. And, you make a good point about the fact that this was not reading a book to someone. This was literally getting, children, some of whom were troubled, some of whom, may not have had great relationships at home, and some who did have great relationships at home, but were still looking for community support and mentors, and creating support systems around them, guiding them and steering them in the right direction to get them to a point where you could have a conversation about college. And so even getting to that point was by no means a simple process.
Exactly. And we're just so excited to have done that. And it sounds like we're just giving y'all a whole lot of information. We think it's really important. So that's why we're sharing it with you. So Jackie, let's sort of do you have any other announcements, something that's going on in this part of the world?
Yes, I do want everyone to be aware that our Double Good Popcorn fundraiser will start in July. You will be hearing more about that. I believe our first date is July 18th, but you'll be hearing about that. So all of you listening, and we know you love it, probably many of you have already ordered it, and maybe it's time for a refill. I will tell you, I was one of those people who was very supportive of the idea, but it is an excellent way. The products is fantastic, and it's another way to support the organization. So you'll hear more about that coming soon.
So we're always doing something. We're always doing something for people. Jackie, just in the FYI, we're going to give them a briefing on what happened in the last couple of weeks. On June 8th, we had school in the summertime. Does it really help students? The pros and cons. I think we agreed it helps them.
That was a good one and very important. People should go back and listen to that.
Right.
Because this fall is going to be really crazy.
But we talked about how parents should take the responsibility for the children's education and not depend upon any system to do that. Tonight, I had problems in school. Now my child has problems in school. I feel responsible. Some of y'all are responsible. No, just kidding. No, you're not. The point is, we're going to give them some relief. I'll give you some relief in a few minutes. We're going to answer that question. Why are you feeling so responsible? First of all, I know your mama has told y'all, she said, look how you give me so much hell, you're going to get it back. All right? So now you're getting that back. You're trying to figure out.
What about those that did not give our parents any trouble? Dr. Miles, you need to stop, okay?
And the children still having problems. But we're going to answer that question tonight, Jackie. And that is a very important question. And not only important, but, people are really concerned about that. And parents are beating themselves over the head saying, like, what did I do wrong? And I'm very serious about this. I did drugs when I was in high school. Did the drugs have anything to do with the child? I drank wine or I drank alcohol. They have all those kind of myths, but some of them are not myths, about, what happens to the child.
I'm exhausted just listening.
And it goes on. It goes on. And some of them feel like the parents did curse them and say, what you're doing to me, you're going to get it back. And so no, I'm actually serious. They are actually.
I know you are. And that's why I'm glad
they are very concerned. And not only that, but all that kind of thinking causes all kinds of mental health issues for the parent. And not only does it cause mental health issue for the parent, Jackie, but those mental health issues also transfers to the child. Are you with me?
And it also prevents them from being able to address the needs of the child in a way that helps the child develop.
Exactly.
So as we get into the conversation, we can definitely share. And I have to laugh. I do, because there are myths and theories, and this should be another helpful conversation for parents to realize your child is an individual, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
But think about it. Yeah, well, again, my thing about the laughing is that it wasn't really a problem. I think some of this stuff is like really kind of like, why? Before I go any further, people are asking me, why is my so shiny right here? Well, I have rosacea, and that's an antibiotic here. As Dr. Miles got so much grease on his face. Now, it's not grease. It's just a lot of bumps come right here. I think it's the humid weather. I'm not sure what it is. But rosacea comes from a variety of things. Jackie, I had problems in school. Was I the problem that's causing my child to have all these issues? So let's talk about that tonight. And let's talk about it.
Okay.
Does those things have kind of like an impact? Jackie, what do you think?
Well, let's see. They say that parents often feel guilty because they feel their child's learning disabilities, even ADHD, and related disorders, are somehow their fault. Okay? I'm going to let you respond as the clinician here. True or false, Dr. Miles?
It's not true, but I am going to say this. I oftentimes think that parents can exacerbate a situation. I got to remember, when I put my hand up, I'm putting my hand in front of my face on live stream. So I keep my hands out of the way. And what I mean by that, Jackie, is that sometimes parents can be overprotective of their children and won't allow their children to do anything. For instance, the child's beginning to learn to talk, right? The child doesn't ask for the water. Mama just says, oh, he wants some water. So the child never gets a chance to even form the sentence. The child grunts, oh, he wants to eat. Well, let him talk. And so what happens, Jackie, when parents do that kind of stuff, they're delaying development.
Well, and you're kind of getting to, where I think this conversation will go as well. Too often the parents are personalizing what's happening with their children. So you think that whatever's going on with your children is about you, could be about you, is a result of you. And unfortunately, what that does is, as you pointed out, Dr. Miles, it doesn't allow the child to be an individual having their own individual experiences, and accordingly allow the parent now to look at the child and say, how can I support their development? Because as you said, there's too much guilt. Oh, is this a reflection of me? Oh, did this happen because of me? Etc. So
what's sort of amazing about that, and it's sort of natural for parents to say, oh Lord, my child's not doing well in school. I recall I was in the second grade, did the same thing. Jackie, I hear parents who say, my child has slow speech development, but I ain't talked to her, I was 7, so it's okay. I'm saying, where did you get that from?
Right. Well, see, that's what it says. Parents may tend to feel, and this is another, feel that if they had been stricter or if they had done something different, right, demanded more, forced more practice, that it would have changed that situation. And that's also not necessarily the case.
Right. But so in other words, the whole thing about children learning and children not doing well in school, it can be the result of a variety of things. And so we're not going to rule out any one thing, but we are going to say that parents, as we talked about last week, you play an important role in your child's life. And when you tell the child that it's okay, that you're not able to read right now, when you're not even trying to assist them in any way, I'm saying? You've not provided any instruction for them, but you simply say, oh, well, I was 16 and I can read, so it's okay. But it's not okay.
Right.
And so part of that, Jackie, is that they get the guilt of, one, they started out slower, and they naturally assume that because they started later, that something was wrong with them. And you and I have always said, it's not about what's wrong with you. We develop at different rates.
Not only do we develop at different rates and paces, Dr. Miles, but we also have different skill sets. We have different natural talents. You may have a child who is musically inclined versus mathematically inclined. You may have a child who is, a stronger, maybe stronger in the sciences than, some other topic. Just like you may have a child who's more physically adept and skilled than, some of the other academic subjects. So it really is about identifying where your child's strengths and weaknesses lie. And I want to suggest that you not look at them so much as disabilities or shortcomings, but simply, a map and an assessment, if you will, of your child as an individual. And I think that's what we're trying to say. Look at your child as an individual versus personalizing their quote unquote disabilities. Now, there's a flip side to that, I know, and that is disabilities or shortnesses that happen because you're not parenting, right? Because you're not, putting structure in place, because you don't have the child in school and ready to learn. So, and we need to differentiate what we're talking about tonight.
But I think it's so important, though, that we do stay here for a moment and talk about not only the parent's role, but when you talk about skill sets, all those skill sets are still developmental. We talk about whether the child may have strengths in. All that stuff is still developmental. My only point in this is make sure, though, that you're doing everything you can do to enhance the development. You can't create it, and start thinking about the child's strengths. But our topic is about why parents feeling so guilty.
Right.
What's so interesting about this, that those guilty parents, check it, they feel guilty even after the child graduated.
Yeah, that's really, really.
The guilt just goes on. And the thing about it, when I say that parents feel guilty, I want to take a look at what that parent is going through. Not only what they've gone through, but what they've been through, where they have so much guilt. And Jack, I think it's sort of like means that their parents didn't encourage them. They didn't acknowledge their successes. They didn't say, I know you can. They got you ain't studying hard enough. You're not as smart as Jane, and so forth. And that stuff carries on, impacts a child's life, usually lifetime, unless there's some interventions. And I'm not always talking about professional interventions. I'm saying interventions from parents who says, you're wonderful. You're doing great. As long as you do your best. But see, Jackie, what parents don't really understand is that when they have these guilts, the children see it. But
Well,
how
and
they,
I think too, I'd
yeah,
like to introduce the word
mhm,
unresolved issues with
yes,
their own education experience, between school and home, just
right,
unresolved issues. And those issues aren't always parent related. Those issues, as you pointed out earlier, could have been things that happened at school, could have been their discomfort with a particular subject. And so, they just kind of automatically either expect or kind of
right,
project onto the child that they're going to have the same problems. You know what I'm saying? Like if I wasn't good at writing, you probably won't be good at writing either,
right.
right? And it's okay because I'm still here, right? But again, you're projecting onto your child and not dealing with your child as an individual. And so a lot of the guilt that parents are feeling,
Hmm.
if they can stop and just think about it and analyze it, they'll realize most of it's probably not even related to the child, but to
Right.
their own childhood.
Yeah, I want to use this as an example. It's very similar or analogous to a parent saying, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So you're going to have schizophrenia also. And what happens, the child starts acting out
Of course.
those behaviors, but has no diagnosis.
Right. Right.
Are you with me? So,
With you.
go on, sorry.
No, I said I'm with you. And there's so much, be it research as well as just life experience to kind of document that there's no basis for the belief that if you have an issue your child is going to have it. I mean, how many people who could not read still either taught their children to read or made sure that the
Right,
systems were in place for their children to learn to read? Do you know what I'm saying? So we have people who never went to college whose children went to
right,
college.
right.
So the idea that your issues will transfer to your child are not based in logic or research.
Exactly. Well, let's just take a look at this from a child's perspective. Okay, mom and dad has guilt because I can't do something.
Mm.
From the child's perspective, it is something wrong with me.
I was about to say,
Why are they so
right.
angry at me all the
You're sending
time?
a message that, right, there's
Right.
something wrong with the child.
Why are they so angry at me? What did I do? Oh, I'm not as good as other people. So what you're doing, folk, you're actually damaging self-esteem more than it's already being damaged, if it's being damaged. So when you have these self-doubt, and kids know when you're distressed, they know when you're upset about something. They know
Probably
when,
before you know.
but they also know when they're not pleasing you. So think about this. The parent sees the child not doing well. The child knows the parent ain't pleased. I know good English. Ain't pleased with him. Think about that, Jackie. The child don't know the whole story now, but
Right.
he sees mom and dad talking about him being slow. He's not as well as other children. And ready for this one? Oh, they did something that caused me to be like this right here.
And the pressure of quote
Look at
unquote good grades.
Jackie. Look at all that. Look at all the not only drama but mental health
I
issues
was
that
going to
are
say the
being caused.
messages that are being sent when
And,
that happens.
and just think. So what that parent is doing by feeling guilty is causing a whole lot of other emotional issues within the child's mental health space. And so we're going to get into, Jackie, tonight about some things parents can do, some things they can do. But I want to clear it up for you, first of all. Uh, in most cases, you didn't pass down what that child is having difficulty with. Oh, guess what? I ain't like school either. I used to run out of the class. So he all right.
Well, that's see, Dr. Miles. Now you're really getting to something that is disturbing, and we have seen that. You and I are both educators. We know of parents who told teachers it's okay. It's not important. I didn't like school either. We've heard that a lot, and that is really unfortunate because that is simply being irresponsible as a parent.
Well, Jackie, it's also being irresponsible, but it's also selfish.
Mm-hmm.
It is selfish because what you're saying is, I did it, so it's okay. Let him do it. And Jackie, we hear this
But you're
quite.
also justifying your own shortcoming by saying, "Oh, my child has it too."
Well, you're
Right?
also justifying that many of these things are behavioral. It is also giving the child a license, a permission to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I did not do well until I got into high school. So, he in elementary, he'll do fine. I'm saying, okay.
And Dr. Miles, that's why a lot of parents, quote unquote, don't respond when the child is not doing well. I didn't either. You know,
Right.
in other words, they're not expecting
They're,
their child to do well. And they're accepting that. But obviously, that's also making a statement that you don't believe that your child is capable.
or it is that they are ashamed, or it's that they are ashamed. And what they do, they cover their shame by making it okay. They cover their shame by making it okay. And I keep saying, parents, we got to come out of this mode of thinking about ourselves first. Because really, I talk to many of these folk, they ain't gonna say it, of course. But we know that you're feeling like you have malfunctioned to create something or someone who's malfunctioning. And that is people totally not the case.
Right.
One thing you said, Jackie, was that parents need to really hone in on these behaviors and are the weaknesses a child has, and don't see it as the weakness, but build upon their strengths.
Right. See it as an opportunity to strengthen the child. But we know that a lot of parents, if they don't have a skill, to your point, they are uncomfortable. And so they allow the child to pass on it, to not develop that skill.
Right.
They don't feel that they can help the child.
And then
that a lot. And they're the ashamed that you mentioned, or being ashamed, doesn't allow them to reach out to help from a teacher or identify, this is not something I can help my child with. Can you help them?
And the child then begins to believe that for mom and dad, I'm not enough. I'm hurting them. And so they begin to inflict this self-pain upon themselves. So parents, we're going to tell you to stop it. Stop it. Just stop the self-blame and stop saying that, oh, I smoked weed when I was in the 12th grade. That's something happened to my hormones, so that's why he didn't get one. I mean, you'd be surprised, folk. Oh, or this one. Jackie, everybody on my side of the family finished college. His daddy, they were all dropouts. So that's where he got it from.
You've
heard it. You've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean,
there really is quite a
and they said, they say it proudly. My family is educated on my side of the family.
So that's you got that from the other side.
That's his daddy stuff. But it's always daddy.
Here's the thing. They say that to other people around the child.
Right.
Around the child. And the child right there, they act like he's not there saying, oh, no, he got that from,
But my question is, why something always wrong with your daddy? But anyway, that's another story. It's Father's Day weekend coming up, so.
I'm sure it flips to the other side from time to time.
Yeah. But, again, we want to relieve y'all. We want to let you know that you're not the fault for it. You're not the fault for it. But let's talk about some other things.
In other words, academic shortcomings are not passed down genetically. It's
right.
It's not in their DNA.
But I think it's also, it's kind of normal for parents to feel that way, though. It's kind of normal for parents to feel that when their kids are not performing, that they often feel guilty. And Jackie, even when they're trying, even when they're getting the educational workbooks, just feeling that almost helpless, like, what can I do? I can't do anything for my child. But there's a whole lot they can do for that child. They can be the best advocate the child will ever get, because they are the best advocate. Do you agree with that?
Yes. And in order to be that advocate, I think what comes to mind is comparing your child to others, even yourself. Again, comparing your child to others, even yourself, denies them the right to just be who they are, and for you to learn who they are and then support them in their development.
It's kind of amazing that this just came to me, is that when the parents oftentimes see themselves connected to the child, and you said a magic word, you must see yourself as individual, and that you're developing individually. Are you with me? So yes. When the child has some issues at school, it's not like, oh, we sick. No, at this point, he's having difficulty at school. Let's see what we can do to make this better. Oh, he's having a problem with reading. Not, oh, my mama couldn't read till she was 5. No. Let's see what the problem is. Let's
find out what is this individual's challenges that are blocking the reading. Because again, there are no two experiences alike, and I guarantee you, it's probably not likely that whatever your parents did or did not do, in terms of teaching you basic things, that you literally turned around and did the exact same thing. So let's determine what's going on with your children and not with you.
Exactly. Jackie, but while the feelings of guilt are common, they just are not justified. I also want to throw something in for the foster parents who are on, we issue certificates to. I love y'all, but from now on, what I want you to do to get those certificates, you got to give me at least 3 or 4 sentences that say that you're actually on here watching this. Because what we've been seeing is that a lot of our parents are coming on here, they're putting us on, and they get certificates, but we have no idea that they've actually retained anything. So I'm going to ask, if you're a foster parent who are wanting certificates from us, please, when you ask for the certificates, not only
join the conversation.
yeah, to please make sure that you are going to send me at least a paragraph or something on what you got from these topics. Because I suspicion, that's not my suspicion, no, I'm positive. Just please do that so we can make sure that everybody gets along. But Jackie, I was going to go back to this. There are a lot of ways that parents can get rid of this guilt and move forward. And getting rid of the guilt means that I got to let go of some of my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've
got to acknowledge some of my own stuff in order
I have
to
to deal.
let go.
I need to deal with me. I need to figure out, why do I feel this way? You know, what happened that made me feel that something was wrong with me in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
And
That it would transfer to my child.
Not just transfer, but guess what? But I also did harm to my child.
Right. You
I did
passed something
harm.
negative onto your child. Yes.
Exactly. So there's just a lot of things that I think that parents, that we go through. We're going through the daily rigors of life, the work, and trying to make sure things are taken care of. But then to be faced with, my child's not doing as well as it could be doing. And guess what? I'm no good. I'm responsible for that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Again, focus on self instead of the child. And
Yeah.
that is really that's what we want parents to get tonight. You
Right.
know, we're talking a little bit, our conversation is not about your child's disabilities, strengths, or weaknesses. Our conversation is the guilt you feel over whatever challenges your child may have, academic or otherwise.
Exactly.
And having you realize that really necessitates a self-assessment for you so that you can become the parent your children need. You've got
Excellent.
to deal with your guilt or your feelings of responsibility versus recognizing that this is just part of their individual development and makeup.
Hey, folks, I'm Dr. Willie Miles. I'm the president of Dr. Willie Miles Children's Foundation, located in Atlanta, Georgia. And Jackie?
I am Jacqueline Hampton Clemens, educator and CEO of Valley of the Giants.
And folks, we're joining y'all every week, because children are our priority. Children are our priority. Jackie, let's keep this moving.
Okay.
We talked about parents and their guilt, and we talked about parents actually taking a look at the things that they struggle with. It's kind of interesting that when parents, feel the guilt of their child's lack of something, that means that evidently they lacked something. And Jackie, what I would like to do when that happens, as a therapist, like, let's talk about what happened to you, like what your struggles were. Let's talk about how people communicated with you. Let's talk about how you felt when you were not achieving in high school or in school period. Let's talk about who was there to support you and encourage you.
So I'm going to translate that for some of our parents. If you're not hearing that, what Dr. Miles is saying, if you are feeling guilt because of your child's academic or other challenges, you need to get therapy. Because you have some unresolved issues, and you need to ask yourself first, why am I feeling guilty? And then speak with someone, because sometimes, especially things from our childhood, can be buried, and it'd be hard for us. Some things we don't even remember. So Dr. Miles didn't come right out and say it, but he's trying to tell you, if you're feeling guilty, you need to get therapy. You need some help. You need to unveil what's going on with you before you can help your child.
And if you don't get it from me, get it from someone else who is in the field, who understands this stuff. All right. But I think also, Jackie, which we're talking about, and it's sort of like in the mental health arena, they got to understand why they feel that way. They also have to understand what they're feeling. And then, Jackie, the thing they should do is start taking some positive stances. And the positive stances is not only like, what can I do? But like you said, Johnny, guess what? I love when you did this art. You're doing great. Mom, guess what? I'm having problems in reading. You're going to be fine, because we're going to give you all the help we can get for you. And I don't want you to worry about that. I want you to do the best you can do. I'll work with the teachers. You're going to be just fine. Mom, guess what? I just can't get this math stuff. You're gonna be fine because we're here to support you. Mom and dad are here, and guess what? We're gonna make sure you're okay with that. Don't worry about it. Just do your best.
We're going to go back and as you said, help you identify where the break is in your understanding so that you can improve. And Dr. Miles, just that language alone will send the child back to go, oh, okay, so this is something that can get better. I can go now and look for some ways to make it better versus going, oh, child, I was that way too, so that's just the way you're going to be. And the child goes, hey, this is permanently broken.
Not only he broken, but guess what? Now, if my mom and dad had it, they gave it to me.
We all broke.
So when I have children, I'm giving it to them. So we're going to have generational issues.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, parents, Jackie, parents don't really think about what they're saying and the impact of it. They don't think about it. They just...
Well, it's and also, Dr. Miles, not just what they're saying, they don't often think about what they're feeling. Right? Because again, if you're feeling like you're responsible, if you're feeling that guilt, you have to ask yourself why. And I want to just spend a second there, Dr. Miles, because I think we're taking for granted that people know they're feeling guilty. I think that it takes some analysis to realize that that feeling you're feeling bad, you're kind of dodging it, you're wondering that it's guilt, that there's, something behind it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my thought on it is that they know it's guilt because they say it's guilt. What I'm saying is that they don't know the source of it.
Okay.
That's the issue. They don't know the source.
So you think they know they feel guilty, but they don't know why.
But they don't know why. And Jackie, where you were headed was down a good road. They feel guilty, Jackie. They don't know the source. Then they start getting depressed.
And or angry, because I think sometimes that guilt goes back at a teacher and the child to say, of course you can, or you don't need that anyway. I mean, there's all sort of behaviors that come out of that. But again, identifying that that's guilt and hopefully pausing to ask yourself why.
But the other thing about parents, which is so interesting when you talk about my child got problems in school, I had problems too, so am I guilty? It's that sometimes these parents have the feeling that they created or they overlooked something. If I had just looked at him a little bit closer, if I had just looked at his dad a little bit closer, if I just looked at, when he was 2 years old, I could have seen these things. And I'm saying, why are you doing this to yourself? Let's do what we're seeing right now.
Right. Jackie, I can go with that because I was about to say, well, sometimes it is that you did that, but your point is a valid one. It's not going to help you now to go back to what you did. You need to be looking at what you can do now and how to move forward.
And some go back to deal with, oh, I forgot. I didn't get good prenatal care. I didn't even see the doctor my third trimester. I'm saying trimester.
Right. Talk about veering off the road, like being way off.
And it just causes all kinds of problems, not just for the parent and the child. Think about the whole family, All right. So where do we go from here? I kind of want to hear from some of our listeners, our viewers. What do you all think? Are we saying things that make sense to you, and can you relate to it, and or can you use it? Or do you have some other suggestions for us regarding this topic? I didn't do well in school, so my children ain't doing well, so I must have gave them this gene where they cannot be smart.
And again, some people do think it's genetic. The ability to learn is genetic, and we are saying very blatantly and very clearly tonight that learning abilities are not genetic.
Well, the thing about it is, it's kind of interesting that some parents actually feel that they had a learning disability. And I want to share with you that the parent's disability oftentimes will not show up the same way it shows up in their children. For instance, a parent may have a disability of not being good in math at all and just hated everything about it. And the child may have a disability of reading.
The child may love math, right? You weren't great at it, but yeah.
So they're going to vary. It's not going to be like you just pass it down because, like, I got brown eyes, my child won't have brown eyes.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And some of y'all shouldn't say that because child come with other color eyes. You need to be saying, "Oh my God, whose child is this?" So my whole my point. So these gene things are something else. All right. And parents, you do not cause disabilities. Now, I'm going to say that in some cases, because we know that when children have disabilities and when they have mental health issues, it's all about the neurologics, and it's also about the brain transmitters, which
And environment.
and it short fuses and causes mood disorders. So the point is that, you know, my thought is that whatever the child has, they can be helped. Help is always on the way. And that's where the parent becomes the child's best advocate. That's when the parent becomes the child's best advocate. So Jackie, how can we get over this guilt stuff? Are you there yet? How can we get over
ways to get over the guilt?
How can we get over this guilt stuff?
Well, let's start with knowing, acknowledging, and accepting that you didn't cause your child's issues.
Yeah.
Okay? If this is a diagnosed learning disability, you did not cause your child's issues. There is it says there's a genetic component, but it's not predictable.
Yeah.
Okay? So in other words, parents can't know before kids are born that they'll learn and think differently. You have no way of knowing that. Some kids with a family history of dyslexia may have dyslexia, but others won't. And some kids with no family history of ADHD may have ADHD. So again, if we can address the genetic issue and disconnect from it, but accept where your child is, that's step one. That's one way of getting over guilt, Dr. Mouse.
But the other thing too is you need to start learning as many ways as possible how you can support your child, and start looking at the various services and that are available. And folk, I can tell you that whatever issue your child is having, there are many support networks.
Yeah,
there are many. But I would start with what's available at the school where my child's attending. What's available there, and then I would make sure that they're giving my child everything legally that he's supposed to be getting. And
let's not forget too, hopefully reaching out to family members and extended family members to see, what they're aware of, and to see what resources and how they can assist.
As long as they don't say, girl, I told you not to be dealing with him. I knew something was wrong with him in the first place. That's why you got these children this way. And I'm saying that very seriously, because you got to be very cautious of those networks. And you may say, well, guess what? No one chooses those, but you don't choose your family. And you'd be surprised how many family members, and that's something you got to be very careful when you talk to these things about, because what you're wanting is support. You're wanting support. You're not looking for blame, because you're already blaming yourself.
I want to say, you want support for your child.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, this is not support for you. This is support for your child. But here's another thing that, they can do, Dr. Miles, is learn as much as possible about how their child learns. Now that we got to let that sit for a second. How does your child learn? Are they visual learners? Are they tactical learners? Are they auditory? Do they learn by hearing? Because I wonder how many parents can answer that question, right? And if you've not tested it or ever explored it before, a lot of parents may not know how their child learns.
Well, I would just say to y'all, it's just don't let anyone blame you for a disability your child has. And most certainly don't ever allow the child to think that you're not happy with them, or that they're disappointing you, and that they wish they could do better. Because when I look at it from a point of view of the child being the priority, my heart hurts for these children, because they want the parents to be pleased with them. And guess what? They already know that they're quote unquote different. They already know that because their classmates are telling them that. Right.
And I do hope, Dr. Miles, that we don't have to tell parents that they should be, happy with their children, despite those things, because if they are concerns, then again, take steps to address the concerns, but don't let your child's learning styles, learning strengths or weaknesses determine how you feel and how you support your child.
The key is you have to develop some strategies for your own. And what I'm saying is for the parent, because if the parent's okay, the child's going to be okay. So we can provide everything for the child, but the parent is okay with it. They're still going to have some issues. So my whole goal is to get that parent straight first, because if I get him or her straight, guess what? She's going to be fine with that child. If I get her feeling good about herself, she's going to feel good about him. If I have her or him understanding that you didn't cause this, All right. They're going to start feeling good about themselves. And
And
then
then,
what I want to do is give them some resources to be able to help them and say, listen, I want you to take a look at this right here. Read this. But what I really want you to do, I want you to keep that child encouraged. I want you, to always say you're proud of them. You're proud of them. And
always.
that don't worry, you're going to get better. Not,
Hmm.
uh, I was the same way. So don't worry about it. Look at me now,
Hmm.
whatever that means.
Hmm.
So my point is, let's encourage those children and let's not have them feel ashamed, because it's kind of amazing, Jack. It's kind of bad if you go to school and feel ashamed, then you come home and
Right.
feel ashamed too.
Right.
I mean,
The
you're
place
embarrassed,
where differences are supposed to be appreciated and be a strength
right?
in and of itself. If you have to go to school and feel bad, where are you going to learn? Dr. Miles, it's a good point. So
I'm
where can
embar-
you go to grow?
I'm embarrassed at school because I'm in the blue group. I come home, my parents telling me that
They need me in the red group.
am I dead? Am I no good? I just think we need to sometimes stop and think about what we say. And not only what we say, Jackie, but in front of our children, what we do.
Mhm.
Because we know that our children look at what we do
Right.
versus what we say.
Right.
And so if I had a child who had any disabilities, guess what? You're the smartest thing on earth. You're just absolutely wonderful. We're not painting false pictures, because in their own right,
They
they
are.
are.
Right. And
So,
and you have to, it is your responsibility to develop that and then help them see
right.
that, if they don't see it because an environment is telling them otherwise. No one,
Don't,
well, very few people are good at everything.
right.
I have in fact, in my particular case, my children are strong in two areas where I'm just not, you know, uh, on my best day or my worst day, their strengths are not things that I could cover. So again, they didn't get them from me.
Yeah, and so parents, what we're talking about is develop this strength-based model. In other words, well, I'm going to always look at the child's strengths. I'm going to make sure that he or she always feels good about themselves. There would never come a word out of my mouth that says that something is wrong with you. I don't know why you can't learn.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or why can't you do what the other kids are doing? Or why are you
Oh,
in this group? I mean, just think about what you're saying. Your
yeah.
children are who they are. I guarantee you they have strengths. Don't even care about, what other quote unquote learning disabilities may be there, developmental disabilities. All children have strengths, and it really is our job to find them. Dr. Miles, I know of children and parents who fortunately were able to kind of move past guilt to deal
Mhm.
with autistic children,
Yeah.
and develop their strengths and
Yeah.
focus on their strengths. So my point here is that whether it's a learning disability or a medical and
Behavioral.
diagnosed disability, they have strengths, and your job is to point them out, to remove your
Parents,
guilt so that you can point them out.
parents, calm down. Just calm down. Get control of your guilt. You may have it, but get in control of your guilt until it goes away, and realize that you are stronger than you thought you were, and you got to be strong for your children, because what you want to produce in them is resiliency and the ability to bounce back, the ability to go out there into this world. Even though somebody says I can't do something, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to try my best, and as long as I do my best, that's all that's required.
Right.
Well, Jack, it's always good talking about these kind of topics. But what are some of our takeaways before we leave? What are some of the takeaways you think?
Well,
Um,
that's good. Some of our takeaways is that one, hopefully everyone leaves tonight knowing you did not cause your child's struggles or challenges. And we're talking, of course, about those struggles or challenges that are diagnosed as actual learning disabilities,
all right, parents,
um,
repeat after us. You did not cause your child's struggles.
or
Good.
challenges. Hmm.
And challenges.
That's right.
What's the next one?
Getting support from other people reminds you that you are not alone. So let's
Parents,
definitely do that.
parents, repeat after us. Getting support from other people reminds us that you're not alone.
Reminds you that you're not alone. And
Okay.
then understanding more about your child's struggles and rights can help you advocate for them.
Now, this is the big one. Parents, you are the child's best advocate. If you give up on them, they are doomed. Repeat after us. Understanding more about your child's struggles and rights help make you even the better advocate than you already are.
And Dr. Miles, I don't want rights to get kind of overlooked. So whatever challenges your child may be having, they do have rights. And what we mean by that is that they have the right to get support for their particular needs, whether that's tutoring or, for one very common one is speech. A lot of children are in school and they have speech. Well, that can be identified as a disability. And so there is support. But if you don't know your child's rights and you don't know what sort of support is available, then you can't more than likely access those. So
But
you want to
also,
know your rights.
and the final is that any child who has difficulty in school and any identifiable disability should have an IEP, an individualized education plan. And that plan will help structure that child's day. It would also tell the teachers what special things they need to do for that child.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope we've been helpful in this regard. Guess what? You're not responsible. Well, yeah, you're responsible for the child. But the point is that you didn't cause the disability. You did not cause that.
And Dr. Miles, I want to add something about that IEP. The beauty of those is those are success plans. Those are plans and strategies for your child to be successful and for you to know, as well as the child, that despite any classification, that here is documenting their growth and how they are achieving and being successful.
Okay,
so don't be afraid of those IEPs like a lot of people are.
Hey, folk, in closing, don't forget, what month is this? It's National.
Month.
It's National Giving Month for the Foundation.
Giving Month.
Hey, please.
And we hope that everyone, listen, I mean this when I say it. You're going to feel different about coming on, even if you just give $1. The idea is to give and to support. And again, you're not supporting yourself. We know that we have a lot of listeners who are on, to support others, maybe their children, maybe they are getting hours for foster parenting, but to know that you are contributing to making this happen for yourself and others, I can guarantee you is a good feeling. So we encourage you all to not let the month of June close without having done some contribution to our month of giving.
Okay. Also, Dr. Willie Miles Alumni Association, it's not really an association, alumni group, it's people who I've touched throughout the 30 years of services. We're asking those people to join us through a contribution where it's reoccurring. So you'll be seeing, if you check your Instagram, you'll see all these flyers from us telling you how to do it and when to do it. So folks, we need your help now. So please take care of that. And as usual,
Dr. Miles, that alumni group is looking for not only just, and for the record, I don't know if you said this, but the alumni group are doing recurring contributions.
Right.
So their commitment is to recurring contributions, but they're also telling their stories. And, stories matter, stories help, others realize, again, that they're not alone and that, other people have walked in their shoes. So again, if you have a story to tell, especially if you know of someone who has been part of this 30-year journey and is doing well, the alumni group is the perfect group for you.
All right, folk. Jackie, we're done for this evening. I'm just really excited about our group.
When you're having fun.
And I do want to say this, the announcement for next week, and we're out of here, is we're dealing with autism next week. And I may have another guest on it actually talk more detail about autism and children who are on the autism spectrum. So tell everybody on next week, folk, guess what? We're going to have folk on here talking about children who are on the spectrum and what does that mean? And what does that mean? All right. So Jackie, it's always great being with you. I will probably see you this weekend in Atlanta. Travel safely, and folks, y'all enjoy the rest of your night. And in case I probably won't see you before the weekend, but happy Father's Day.
To all of our dads.
All of our dads. All right.
Happy Father's
Day. So have a
Day.
great one, folks. We'll see you.
Good night.